Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Holistic Living Podcast. I am recording from my car today. I have the little guy and it's just been wild the past couple days with him as I haven't had much help. So I finally got to my parents and they are watching him, which means I got to go out to the car because he's really loud. So if you hear honking or any outside noises, that is why. Today we are talking about, first and foremost, the Rife machine, as I get way too many questions about this. And then I want to talk about 6 things that I always encourage every single person with any skin issues to do. So if you have psoriasis, eczema, acne, etc., I'm going to share with you 6 things that you need to do ASAP to improve your condition. Based on a bunch of questions that I've been getting from social. That's kind of how I choose my podcast topics. If I get a bunch of similar questions, I just make it a podcast topic on it. So let's jump in and first talk about the Rife machine, R-I-F-E. This machine is named after Dr. Royal Raymond Rife. It was developed in the 1930s. It is a very common therapy when you're working with a holistic practitioner, holistic doctor, functional medicine doctor, or homeopath. It is something that has been used since the 30s effectively. You're going to see a lot of posts on social media and you'll hear a lot of people say it's just quackery, and it's not. Typically the people who disregard its effects, its positive effects, are ones that actually don't do enough research and are very medical minded and fully and thoroughly believe in the healthcare system. Which, I mean, if that's you, that's okay. But there definitely is so much evidence on the incredible effects that it does have. Just, people's testimonials alone, but also for me personally, I've had an incredible experience with it, and, just seeing how it works and understanding the physics, the chemistry of the body, it really makes a lot of sense. So let's go into a little bit of detail. I don't want to make this whole podcast on this topic, but I did want to address it really quick. So Rife machine uses a specific frequency that will destroy pathogens such as bacteria, even different viruses. It can remove food sensitivities. It does this and more by resonating at the natural frequency level of the organism or disease. It uses electromagnetic frequencies that are going to target the specific disease or pathogen, etc. So whatever you're trying to work on, they use those electrodes that they'll place on the body. This will deliver the various frequencies, similar to a TENS machine, or if you've heard of bioenergetics intolerance elimination. It kind of all works on the same idea that every single cell in our body operates at a frequency. A diseased cell operates at a different frequency than a healthy cell. Pathogens like bacteria, viruses, yeast have a different frequency than, good organisms in the body, and so on and so forth. So essentially, if you have a diseased cell in your body, you are going to introduce a frequency that operates at the similar level, and this is going to stimulate the healing processes to take place in the body. So the frequencies that you introduce to the system, the electromagnetic frequencies, they disrupt the cells of pathogens and they'll stimulate the healing forces in the body. This might sound like, oh, this is nuts, but if you really think about it, you can be walking outside and put your hand on a vehicle and get shocked, or pick up a plastic toy and get shocked. You can see, different energies and frequencies around plants and around essentially every single thing on this earth. Everything has an energy frequency and they all operate at different levels. And it makes sense then that if something is in the body that doesn't belong, that the frequency is going to be off, and it affects every single organism and cell in the body. And so you want to correct that frequency. And that's kind of what homeopathy does as well, is trying to recorrect the cells to the correct frequency so that the body can heal itself and remove disease. So when people are asking me, does the Rife machine work? Should we be using it? To me, hell yes, it's amazing. That being said, I never think that there's one therapy that you should do and no other. So for example, if you are using a Rife machine to remove food sensitivities or to target pathogens, or if you are doing bioenergetic intolerance elimination to clear food sensitivities, great. Huge fan. Do it. You will get amazing results. But I do still think that in 2024, we need to be also introducing supplements and other lifestyle factors and therapies to complement, because things are so out of balance in our bodies these days, beyond out of balance. And the only way to really correct things is by supplementation at the same time as other therapies. There's deficiencies that need to be corrected. There are some aggressive remedies that need to be taken to support the detoxification pathways and open them up because of all the toxicity that we have been exposed to through food, through stress, through water, through medications, etc. So should you do a Rife machine and only that and nothing else? No, you're probably not. You're going to be gypping yourself of some really good, results. I think, yes, you should do Rife or some type of like electromagnetic frequency therapy, but also introduce exercise and supplements and saunas and whatever else you feel you want to do. So I hope that kind of clarified a little bit. Maybe I'll do a whole podcast topic one day on electromagnetic therapies, but just for now, we'll keep it at that because I really want to talk about skin, since I love, love, love talking about the skin. It's what I do in my practice, is specialize in skin issues. And I personally struggle with skin issues since I was a baby, with eczema and severe psoriasis. And after having, cleared my own and reversed my own and have helped over 7,000 clients work on their guts and improve their skin as well, I feel like I'm quite qualified to touch on this topic, as I've really nailed down some things that must be done in order to see an improvement. And it's not from, just like, I'm not just pulling random things out of a hat. It's genuinely through confirmed research as well. And the first thing is diet. I'm going to share with you some really specific things you need to do with your diet immediately to start seeing a change in the skin. So when we have inflammation on the skin, I won't go into a ton of explanation here because I've touched on this excessively through podcasts, Instagram, YouTube, so on. So check out my socials for more content on this. But essentially, if you see inflammation in the skin, it initially is coming from the gut. There's a lot of things that will drive inflammation in the body. One of them, and one of the main things, being diet. Certain foods that we eat have trigger an inflammatory response by our body. And certain foods have that inflammatory action. So there's inflammatory foods you want to cut out, but then there's also foods that naturally aren't really inflammatory in nature, but in certain individuals with certain genetic SNPs and certain immune imbalances can become inflammatory. So I'm going to just list a few things that I think you should be doing if you really want to start supporting and removing inflammation from the body and clearing your skin. Number one, you really want to restrict and cut out sugar. I won't go into much more detail on this, except to say that sugar feeds pathogens. We know it's inflammatory. It damages every cell in the body. It burdens the liver and the kidneys. It is definitely one of the most inflammatory foods, and we consume far too much of it. So sugars, even natural sweeteners like honey and maple syrup, still count. The more you can restrict and reduce, the better. You can use liquid stevia. You can use some monk fruit extract. You can use yacon syrup here and there. There's definitely alternatives. You don't need to be having actual sugar all the time, at least. So really restrict and avoid sugar as much as you can, along with super starchy carbs. If you're having croissants and muffins, if you're having like a lot of bread and potatoes, like these are also pure sources of sugar once they get broken down. So really restrict those two and try to stick to really good complex and whole carbs, whole foods, those like lentils and buckwheat and quinoa type of carbs, squash, etc. Berries are fantastic too. So carbs and sugars and starches are one thing. The other thing is you want to get rid of all inflammatory oils. I can tell you, like myself and hundreds of clients notice almost an overnight reaction to just cutting out canola and vegetable oils like sunflower oils and palm oil and rapeseed oil. Cutting those out is absolutely incredible because you're going to lower the omega-6s in the body. You're going to lower inflammation quite quickly once your body can get rid of these fats out of the system. And this is going to be huge to calming down the skin. So definitely watch your oil consumption. If it's not olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, grass-fed ghee, we don't want it. Besides oils, sugars, starches, carbs, you also want to be really, really careful with processed foods in general. So if you're eating like a lot of granola bars and packaged snacks and crackers and stuff, normally they're not a huge issue, but when you're having them frequently and you're already so inflamed and have a ton of toxicity, which is why you're inflamed, you want to be careful because there's a lot of added ingredients, additives. There's also a lot of chemicals like plastics and probably heavy metals that they find in a lot of cereals and packaged foods. So also restrict packaged foods. Now moving into some foods that are not normally inflammatory per se, but in certain people can be. And the first is nightshades. This is a tough one for a lot of people, but it's a temporary avoidance that will yield incredible results if you're, really strict with it. And that is your tomato, your eggplant, your potatoes, peppers. These nightshades have that direct inflammatory reaction on the skin. If you have rosacea, psoriasis, acne, eczema, they're just something you need to avoid until the skin is clear. And then from there, still not overconsume. They have that inflammatory effect on certain people. Along the lines of that is also coffee. Coffee normally can be inflammatory for almost everyone. It's really acidic. It does burden the kidneys. It pulls a lot of water and minerals out of the body, etc. However, some people can drink it and they seem fine, and others really affects their skin. And it's because when you have a skin issue, it means your body is already very acidic. Again, skin issues means toxicity in the body, and toxicity means you're acidic. That's why you have these toxins are acidic themselves, but they also flush out minerals, which makes you more acidic. So anything that is acidic going into the body is going to make the skin worse. So you want to avoid coffees and, white vinegars and sugars and all these acidic type foods. Alcohol, I should have mentioned, as part of like the sugar and starch. Alcohol should be avoided. It really inflames the skin because it's another direct liver damaging food that's really hard on the body because it is essentially pure sugar as well once broken down. So those are some important foods to avoid. Now the list could go on. It could say gluten and dairy and a whole bunch of other things which are also inflammatory, but I'll leave those up to, your discretion, at least if you really restrict carbs and sugars and bad oils and processed foods, and really just try to eat whole foods, healthy foods, lots of vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, and you're watching your alcohol and coffee intake and minimizing nightshades, like that's already a huge step in the right direction. If you want to take it a step further, cutting out gluten and dairy is great as well. Okay, I spent enough time on the diet topic. One of the next things you absolutely need to do if you have skin issues at all is going to be managing your stress. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, as again, I've gone extensively into the topic of stress and how it affects inflammation. But essentially, when we are stressed out, our body is pumping out a lot of cortisol, which initially is our anti-inflammatory hormone. However, when we're stressed chronically, we're pumping out cortisol chronically, which has a host of negative effects. I won't touch on that. But one of the things that happens is our body starts to become resistant to the cortisol. It stops responding to it. So then our body pumps out even more, and our adrenals eventually become so fatigued that instead of pumping out cortisol when you are stressed, it stops pumping out cortisol. So we actually lose our anti-inflammatory support, as cortisol is our anti-inflammatory hormone. And if our body's not responding to it, or it's not producing it in the amounts that we need, we start losing that anti-inflammatory resolving effect that cortisol has. And so we end up with this chronic inflammation from chronic stress. Stress also drives our Th2 immune system to become more dominant, which means we have more inflammatory cytokine production, high IL-6, etc. And this is also going to drive that inflammation, especially in the case of psoriasis, eczema, things like that, asthma, and so on. So stress is a huge trigger. It might feel like it's not related, but I promise you, if you have stress, your skin issues will never be able to clear. So you need to do whatever you need to do to minimize stress, whether that's removing extracurriculars, avoiding certain people in your life, if you can help it. Obviously, if you're a mom and you have kids and life's crazy, like you can't get rid of all the stress, but then the next part would be to manage it. So whatever stress you can't remove, you need to manage it by, I'm going to do stress techniques. I'm going to do deep breathing. I'm going to try to do relaxing things for myself when I can. I'm going to try to not overwork, etc. It's just as much as you can. I know life can be hard and you only can control stress so much, but at least being aware of the strong impact that stress has and the fact that it also drops our Th1 immunity, making us having a harder time to lower inflammation, just adds to this whole feedback loop. The third thing that we need to be doing is managing sleep. This kind of ties to stress, but sleep is a crucial thing because when our body starts to have regular, proper sleep within the circadian rhythm window, so going to bed like not between 9 and 10 maximum, that's when our melatonin is peaking and our cortisol is dropping. So we want to sleep within that hormonal cue. And what this is going to do is it's going to help to make our body more sensitive to cortisol. Again, it's going to give us that rejuvenating and healing effects that the melatonin has, which is driving up our Th1 immune system and can actually help to lower inflammation while we sleep and detoxify. If we don't sleep properly and we're going to bed too late, then we are missing out on that melatonin peak. So we're not going to have that deep, restful, healing sleep. We're also going to have a very hard time elevating and boosting our Th1 immunity. So it's really important to get good quality sleep when you have skin issues. Again, it might not feel like it's impacting the skin, but I promise you, if you start sleeping properly and regularly, you will be shocked at how much nicer your skin is. The fourth thing I think we're on now is going to be herbal teas. This is something I would like you to add in, and it can make a huge difference. And it's one of the cheapest ways to go to try to help the skin, aside from changing your diet. So things like, I'm going to list them here. Slippery elm tea is one of my go-tos. It shuts inflammation down in the gut, which means it's going to help to soothe the skin. These are not things that are going to cause a clearing forever. Essentially, once you stop taking certain herbal teas, it will come back, but they're things that can help you in the meantime to soothe. So slippery elm tea, chamomile, nettle tea is fantastic. Chaga mushroom tea is amazing. And then like a dandelion tea is great as well for the skin. These are things you want to check with your doctor, make sure that they're safe for you in whatever stage of life you're at, but definitely something to consider. The next thing I would be recommending are certain supplements. There's some that I think, I can't list here because they're varying based on the person, but always check with your doctor before taking anything. Some of the supplements that I'm listing, I think are pretty good across the board. So the first thing that I would be suggesting people consider is a liquid chlorophyll. This will alkalize the body, which again, when we have a skin issue, we're very acidic. So this alkalizing the body will help us to excrete a lot of acidic toxins and also replenish minerals in the body, which over time is going to help us clear the skin. And it's chlorophyll has a very strong detoxifying action on the gut. So it's very powerful and on our cells as well. Chlorophyll is like the blood of the plants. It's very similar to the profile and makeup of chlorophyll is actually very similar to human red blood cells. So when we are having that, it's also nourishing our body as well. Besides chlorophyll, I'm a huge fan of taking something for inflammation, whether that is boswellia or CBD or curcumin. Berberine works wonders on the skin typically for most people. Perilla extract is incredible for the skin as well. So you can take a combination of these or just one or two. But these are something you have to check with obviously your doctor about, find which one might work best for you. Astragalus is also an herb that is amazing if you have skin issues. It supports the shift from Th1 to Th2, immune dysregulation, so can really help with the healing of that dysregulated immune system. A probiotic is almost always a good idea. There's certain times where you might not feel great on it. So again, check with your doctor or practitioner. But typically when you have psoriasis or skin issues, your gut's a mess, and probiotics are something that you want to be replenishing and bringing back into the body. Some type of liver support. I like to do homeopathic liver drainage. You can do an herbal type of liver support, which I don't think works as efficiently, but can definitely, be an option for you. And you need some kind of kidney support as well. This is something that will help to flush out acidic toxins. I have a 60-day gut reset, which includes liver and kidney drainage, a full candida and parasite cleanse, full immune regulation, a full body detox, all the therapies that you'll need to add in alongside, so much education and knowledge. It's a self-paced program. You have access to the program for 1 year upon sign up, and you can kind of start and go through it whenever and however long you'd like. We have a private Facebook community, a whole membership platform that's included that gives you thousands of dollars worth of protocols and education, and there's forums in there as well. We do live Zoom meetings and so much more. And you can use the code 100OFF to save $100. This program is like nothing else you'll ever encounter. The amount of support, education, knowledge that's in there, and an epic protocol for skin and gut issues is beyond. So I would love for you to join. It's the 60-day gut reset. It'll be linked in the description of this podcast. And it includes liver and kidney support that I would be recommending and all of that good stuff. The last thing that I would say can be helpful in terms of supplements would be potentially like an L-glutamine or some type of gut sealant, a gelatin, something like that. Again, it's a temporary fix, but it can help to soothe the skin in the meantime. Or you could use an aloe vera gel. The very last thing that I think is a non-negotiable when you have skin issues is drinking a minimum 10 glasses of water a day. You can maybe, if you're a smaller person, get away with 8. Herbal teas do count. But what this is doing is it's flushing. You need liquid to flush the kidneys, flush the liver, flush the gut, and get rid of as much toxins as we can. At the same time, really restricting alcohol and any other beverages besides water and herbal teas. It's going to go a long way to healing the body and clearing out pathogens and toxins from the system. By making this shift, matcha is a good option. So if you are cutting out coffee and you're like, I still need something, matcha is beautiful because it's alkaline. It has EGCG, which actually helps support the regulation of the immune system. It's a potent antioxidant, great for the skin. It's all the benefits. So that's definitely something that you could swap coffee for. And golden milk lattes are always a good idea because those are inflammatory as well, anti-inflammatory as well. So that was just really quick. I know I was talking fast. I hope that was okay. I was just literally sitting in the car and my baby's like probably losing it inside. So was trying to rush through this, but I hope that it was educational and informative. If you guys ever have any questions, you can reach me through my social media. It's all linked in the description. I post tons of content there daily, encouraging and supporting you along your healing journey. But I absolutely love talking about health in terms of the skin because there's so much we can do naturally that doesn't involve crazy damaging medications with side effects and all of this, insane skin procedures and things like that. When you have skin issues, your body's telling you something's wrong on the inside and you want to hear your body's cues and start to give your body what it needs to heal itself. That's always what we try to do, is give the body the tools and it will do the rest. It's our body's job to take care of us, to heal us, to keep us alive. So supporting our body in that way is absolutely necessary. And I love educating you along the way and helping you through it. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.